There comes a sacred point in every life when the invisible begins to move, when what once felt distant begins to stir, and heaven quietly whispers, "Now." That moment is upon you. The season has changed. What once seemed delayed was never denial. It was divine orchestration. God was not ignoring you. He was aligning everything for your good. Long before anything changes in your world, the unseen realm has already moved. The script was written before you could even imagine it. And now, that divine plan, perfectly timed, perfectly designed, is unfolding. The shift is not coming. The shift has begun. Every prayer you whispered in faith, every tear that carried hope, every moment you held your peace while the storm raged, all of it was seen. You were never forgotten. Those hidden seasons of endurance were not empty. They were essential. God was building in you the strength to receive what you had asked for. But this reset, you see, creation is finished. Everything you desire already exists, not somewhere far away, but here, in the invisible dimension of spirit. The moment you believe that what you desire is already yours, you move from asking to knowing. And that knowing, that quiet, unwavering certainty, is the very vibration that pulls your desire into visibility. This is the mystery of faith. You are not waiting for it to happen. It is waiting for you to believe it already has. When your inner state matches your desired state, reality must obey. Life has no choice but to reflect the truth you have accepted. Every obstacle you faced was preparation. The doors that seemed closed were divine redirections toward the one that was truly meant for you. The people who left were not rejection, they were release. The waiting was not punishment, it was positioning. And now the alignment is complete. The timing is perfect. The divine order has reached its moment of manifestation. This is your time. Not next month, not next year, now. God is turning everything in your favor. What once seemed against you is now working for you. What once looked like loss is revealing itself as hidden blessing. What you thought ended was simply transformed. The whole universe is conspiring to fulfill the word that was spoken over your life. So stand firm in this knowing. You are living in the unfolding of answered prayer. Walk as though it is done. Speak as though it has manifested. Feel as though it is already yours, because in truth, it is. This is not the season of struggle. It is the season of revelation. The invisible has become visible. The promise has ripened into manifestation. God has turned it. Everything. And your time, your divinely appointed, long prepared, perfectly aligned moment has come. Long before the evidence reaches your eyes, the shift has already begun. The unseen realm, that sacred space where faith plants its seed, has been quietly moving, arranging, and aligning every detail in your favor. Though your physical senses may tell you nothing is happening, the truth is far greater and deeper than appearances. In the silence, in the waiting, in the unseen, the miracle is already in motion. Every answered prayer begins in the invisible. Just as a seed breaks open beneath the soil before sprouting into the sunlight, your desires begin their transformation long before you can perceive them. The delay is not denial. It is the divine sequence of manifestation unfolding perfectly. The unseen realm does not rush. because it knows everything is already finished. You are not waiting for God to start, He already has. The pieces are moving, the people are being positioned, and the opportunities are aligning in ways your mind cannot yet comprehend. What feels like stillness is sacred movement. What feels like silence is divine speech in a higher language. When nothing seems to shift outwardly, that is often when the greatest rearrangement is taking place inwardly. Life begins to organize itself around your faith, not around your fear, not around your doubt, but around your inner conviction that what you have believed for is already yours. This is why you are called to rest in assurance, not to struggle in uncertainty. The outer world is only a mirror reflecting your inner assumption. When you dare to believe that things are already turning in your favor, the unseen power begins to arrange itself to make that belief visible. Faith is not about forcing the outcome. It is about aligning with it. You do not need to know how or when. You simply need to know it is. Imagine the unseen realm as a vast network of divine intelligence. Every circumstance, every encounter, every event being interwoven perfectly to deliver your desired outcome at the appointed moment. When one door closes, it is not rejection, it is redirection. When someone leaves, it is not loss, it is divine substitution making space for what truly belongs to you. The invisible hands of purpose are never idle. They are crafting a future that will astonish you when it arrives in form. This is the holy paradox. Before you see the change has already taken place. Before the blessing manifests, it already exists in substance. You are walking into what is already done. So release the anxiety that demands proof and rest in the knowing that proof always follows faith. Every moment, you choose trust over doubt. You accelerate the visible unfolding of what is already finished in spirit. Right now, in the unseen, things are shifting. The right people are being drawn to you, opportunities are forming, and answers are being released. The evidence may not yet be visible, but it is inevitable. The delay is divine timing aligning perfection. The unseen shift has already begun, and soon the invisible will become undeniable. Faith is the bridge between what is unseen and what is seen. It connects the invisible world of spirit with the visible world of form. Everything that has ever appeared in your life, every success, every opportunity, every manifestation, first existed as an idea, a belief, a conviction within you. The outer world is only the reflection of your inner world, a mirror showing you what you have accepted as true in consciousness. When you understand this, you no longer wait for life to change before you believe. You believe, and life must change. Faith is not a hope, nor is it a wish. It is a deep inner knowing, a certainty that what you have imagined is already yours. It is the unseen conviction that precedes all visible creation. When you stand in faith, you are standing in the unseen reality of your desire, claiming it as already complete. The invisible is the parent of the visible, and faith is the bridge that allows the unseen to cross over into form. What you assume to be true within yourself, whether consciously or unconsciously, must externalize itself. The law of life is correspondence. As within, so without. When you dwell in the feeling of lack, you call forth more lack. When you dwell in the feeling of fulfillment, you summon fulfillment. The world does not respond to your words, it responds to your inner state. Your outer circumstances are simply the echo of your inner assumption. To walk by faith means to see beyond appearances. It means to trust the invisible more than what your senses can perceive. The world may show lack, delay, or resistance, but faith declares it is already done. It refuses to be moved by temporary facts because it knows that facts change when faith remains firm. When you persist in your inner vision, life eventually bends to the authority of your belief. Faith is creative power in motion. It is not passive acceptance, it is active awareness. It speaks of things that are not yet visible as though they were. It lives from the end, not toward it. It assumes the tone and feeling of the wish fulfilled until that inner state solidifies into physical reality. You do not need to force the manifestation. You only need to remain faithful to the inner image until it becomes flesh. Every belief you hold with conviction becomes form, because the universe mirrors your consciousness with precision. If you believe you are loved, life will show you evidence of love. If you believe you are chosen, doors will open to prove it true. The outer world has no will of its own. It only obeys the command of your inner assumption. So, when you find yourself waiting for change, remember, faith is not waiting for something to happen. Faith is the happening. The moment you claim it within, it is already yours in essence. The bridge between the invisible and the visible is not time, it is belief. And when your belief becomes unwavering, the unseen must reveal itself in the seen. You are not striving to make something happen, you are awakening to what is already complete. The truth is, every desire, every dream, every answered prayer already exists in the unseen dimension. Creation is finished, nothing is missing. The life you long for, the opportunities you hope to attract, the peace you wish to feel, they all exist now in potential form, waiting for your consciousness to align with them. You are not here to create from nothing. You are here to select from the infinite realities that already exist in the mind of God. This understanding changes everything. Instead of struggling, you rest. Instead of trying to make things work, you align with the knowing that they already do. You realize that your true work is inner, not in the world of doing, but in the world of being. When your inner state harmonizes with the state of your desire, you magnetize the corresponding reality into visibility. Life simply mirrors your consciousness faithfully and without error. To live in the finished work means to stop asking when and start believing now. It is to rest in the awareness that what you seek is already present though unseen. Just as the tree is already contained within the seed, your fulfilled desire is contained within your assumption of its reality. The more you dwell in the feeling that it is done, the faster the outer world reorganizes itself to confirm your belief. So that is Pretasegi. This is why forcing, worrying, and doubting never work. They signal that you believe the work is unfinished, that your dream is still far away. But the moment you shift from striving to knowing, from asking to assuming, everything begins to move in your favor. The energy that once scattered through effort becomes focused through faith. You start to walk differently, speak differently, and feel differently because you are no longer waiting, you are living as though it is already so. In this state, time loses its power over you. You no longer chase what is already complete. You no longer pray from lack, but from gratitude. You give thanks before the evidence appears because you understand that it must appear. The outer world cannot resist the conviction of a soul that knows the promise is already fulfilled. Every outcome you could ever desire already exists in the vast field of infinite potential. You are not creating it, you are tuning your awareness to it. Like a radio picking up a station, you receive the frequency of your chosen reality through inner alignment. The more you persist in that state of being, the clearer and stronger the signal becomes until it solidifies as physical experience. So release the struggle. Stop searching for signs that it's working. Begin to rest in the divine fact that it is already done. The finished work is not something you must earn or chase. It is something you awaken to. The kingdom of your desire is already within you, complete and perfect. All that remains is for you to believe it, to feel it, and to live from it, and life will have no choice but to reveal what has always been yours. And life, divine timing, is not something that exists in the distant future. It is the eternal now. The moment you align your inner state with the vibration of what you desire, that is the moment it begins to manifest. The universe does not operate on human clocks or calendars. It operates on readiness. And when your inner world ripens, when your faith becomes stronger than your doubt, when your peace outweighs your fear, that alignment calls forth the visible evidence. What you have been waiting for is not coming later. It is here now, unfolding in perfect order. So many live believing that their blessing, healing, or breakthrough is still ahead of them. They look toward tomorrow, hoping that the right moment will arrive. But divine timing does not wait for time. It waits for alignment. The instant you feel the reality of your answered prayer, the shift happens. What appears as waiting is only the period in which your consciousness is being prepared to sustain what you have asked for. You were never waiting on God. He was waiting on you to believe that it is already done. This moment, this breath, is sacred. The waiting season has ended not because something changed externally, but because something shifted within you. The doubt that once blocked the flow of blessing has been replaced by certainty. The striving that once exhausted your spirit has been replaced by surrender. You have outgrown the version of yourself that needed to wait, and you have stepped into the awareness that everything you desire already exists in this eternal present. Life can only mirror your readiness. When you were uncertain, life reflected uncertainty. When you hoped but doubted, life gave you glimpses without fulfillment. But now, as your inner world has ripened with trust, clarity, and conviction, the external world must follow. It cannot resist the command of your consciousness. Reality bends to the state you occupy. When you live from the end, when you think, speak, and feel from the assurance that it is done, creation must obey. The beauty of divine timing is that it never arrives too early or too late. It manifests at the precise moment you can receive it without fear and sustain it without loss. The waiting season was not punishment. It was preparation. You were being refined in patience, expanded in faith, and strengthened in vision, so that when this moment came, you would recognize it and not sabotage it. Do not sabotage it. Now you stand at the threshold of manifestation. The invisible has matured into visibility. The inner seed you planted with faith has blossomed into form. This is your appointed hour, the culmination of everything you have endured, learned, and believed. Let go of the idea that your blessing is still on its way. It is already here, revealing itself piece by piece. Time is not your master, it is your servant. The divine operates only in the now. So claim it, feel it, live it. The waiting season is over. The promise is ripe. The moment you have been preparing for has arrived. Your time is now. Every obstacle you have faced was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to prepare you. Nothing in your journey was wasted, not the pain, not the disappointment, not the delay. Every setback carried within it a seed of divine purpose. What looked like detours were sacred directions, leading you through the very experiences that would shape the strength, wisdom, and depth required to hold what you have prayed for. Life was never punishing you. It was preparing you. You see, when you ask for something great, life must first make you equal to it. You cannot receive beyond the capacity of your own consciousness. The dream you desire, the blessing you seek, carries weight, and the obstacles were God's way of strengthening your hands to hold it. Every season of waiting taught you endurance. Every loss taught you detachment. Every disappointment taught you trust. And all of it was working together even when you could not see how, except it was not. There were moments when you wondered if you had been forgotten, moments when the silence felt endless. But what you did not realize was that the foundation of your destiny was being laid beneath the surface. Just as a tree's roots grow deep in darkness before breaking through the soil, your spirit was being fortified in unseen ways. The delay was not a denial, it was the deep work of divine preparation. The pain carved space within you for greater compassion. The rejection cleansed you of dependence on validation. The confusion taught you to listen to intuition over circumstance. Every obstacle served a purpose far beyond what you could have perceived in the moment. Looking back, you can now see that the very things you thought were holding you back were actually building you up. As you received what you wanted before you were ready, it might have slipped through your fingers. But now, after being tested, refined, and renewed, you have become the kind of person who can sustain the magnitude of what's unfolding. You have learned to walk by faith when sight failed, to trust the unseen hand that guided you even through loss. You carry within you a strength born from surrender, the quiet power that comes only from walking through the fire and discovering it could not consume you. Now the preparation is complete. The weight you once bore has become wisdom. The obstacles that seemed to delay you have actually aligned you. What once hurt now serves you. You are not the same as you were before the storm. You have expanded into someone capable of receiving more, giving more, and being more. So bless the obstacles, thank the delays, honor the disappointments. They were never barriers, they were building blocks. Each one was a hidden act of grace, shaping your spirit to sustain the blessing that is now emerging. Nothing was wasted. Everything was used. And now that you have become equal to your desire, life can finally reveal the magnitude of what has been waiting for you all along. Your inner assumption is the silent architect of your reality. Life is not responding to what you want, it is responding to what you believe. The outer world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the conviction you hold within. When you assume that your prayer is already answered, when you think, feel, and act from that knowing, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself to match that state of being. The universe moves not by effort, but by energy. Not by pleading, but by belief. To assume is to accept something as already true. It is the invisible act of faith that shifts everything around you. The moment you inwardly claim the reality of your desire, a vibration is set in motion. one that calls forth experiences, people, and opportunities aligned with your new state. You don't need to chase it, you need only to embody it. Life cannot resist the frequency of one who knows. This is the secret behind answered prayer. It is not about asking over and over again, it is about receiving inwardly before it appears outwardly. When you continue to ask, you affirm that you do not yet have it. But when you assume it is already done, you enter the consciousness of fulfillment. From that state, your words, emotions, and actions naturally express gratitude, confidence, and peace, the same qualities that magnetize your desire into form. Everything begins within. Your assumptions determine your perception, and your perception determines your experience. When you assume lack, you perceive obstacles. When you assume abundance, you perceive possibilities. The world rearranges itself according to your internal agreement. You are never waiting for reality to change. Reality is waiting for you to change your assumption about it. To live as though your prayer is already answered is not pretending, it is aligning. You are not denying what exists, you are affirming a higher truth that transcends it. When you walk, speak, and feel from the conviction that your desire is fulfilled, you begin to emit a new energy that commands the cooperation of all things. Circumstances bend, timing shifts, people appear, and events unfold in your favor, not by coincidence, but by correspondence. The outer world mirrors the inner declaration, "It is done." The universe is not random, it is responsive. Every thought clothed in feeling becomes a creative decree. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you impress that reality upon the invisible substance of life. That impression must express, it must externalize, because the law of consciousness is exact and unerring. So release the need to see immediate proof. The proof always follows the assumption, never precedes it. Persist in the inner knowing, even when nothing seems to move. Hold the feeling of completion until the world catches up to what your spirit already knows is true. When you live from your fulfilled prayer, life obeys. The universe is simply a mirror of belief, endlessly rearranging itself to reflect the conviction of your spirit. Assume the best, and the best will find you, not because you forced it, but because you became it. Everything you have walked through, the waiting, the wondering, the breaking, the becoming, has brought you to this moment. Nothing was random. Every delay was divine. Every obstacle was preparation. Every unseen shift was quietly working in your favor. Now the inner alignment has been completed. The time of preparation has become the time of manifestation. You are not stepping into something new. You are awakening to what has always been yours. This is your appointed hour. The shift that began in the unseen is now emerging in the seen. Life is bending to the conviction of your spirit. The promise you once held in faith is now unfolding in form. All that is required of you is to remain still in knowing, to live, speak, and act from the reality of it is done. God has turned everything in your favor. You are standing in the fulfillment of answered prayer. And so as you move forward, walk in gratitude, walk in quiet confidence. Walk as one who knows that the divine plan has not only begun, it has reached its perfect hour. The waiting season is over. The doors are open. Your time has come. /Thank you. Thank you for allowing these words to find a home in your spirit. May you carry this truth with you. that what you seek is already here, that God has already gone before you, and that the universe itself is conspiring for your good. Your shift is not coming, it is happening now. Walk in faith, live in peace, and remember always, everything is turning in your favor. Thank you. You walk into a room, the energy shifts. Maybe someone throws a subtle jab. Maybe it's a rude comment online. Maybe it's that one person who knows exactly how to push your buttons and pushes them every time. And you feel it, that rise in your chest, the tight jaw, the instinct to clap back or shut down. But then you breathe. You decide. Not today, not this time. Because here's the truth. Acting like nothing bothers you doesn't mean nothing does. It means you've learned not to give everything access to your peace. There is a misconception that staying calm means you're weak, that not reacting means you don't care. Composure is not the absence of emotion, it's the presence of strength. It's saying, I see what's happening, and I choose not to let it control me. Think of a pilot in turbulence. The best one doesn't panic. They don't scream over the intercom, they adjust calmly, deliberately, because they know this. If I lose control, everyone loses. People will test you, life will challenge you, disrespect will knock on your door dressed as a harmless joke. That when you act unbothered, you reclaim your power. Because here's the secret no one tells you. Not everything deserves a reaction. Some things just want your energy, your attention, your spark. And if you hand it out carelessly, you end up empty. You're not ignoring it. You're outgrowing it. You're no longer available for drama. You become more invested in your peace than in proving a point. And let's talk about silence. Because silence isn't weakness. It's a strategy. So the next time life tests your patience or someone pokes at your peace, pause, not because you don't care, but because you've decided who you are, and no one else gets to rewrite that in a moment of madness. Act like nothing bothers you, not because you feel nothing, but because you've learned that not everything is worth feeling. That is strength. That is leadership. That is freedom. We live in a world where loudness often gets mistaken for strength, where reacting quickly is seen as confidence and silence is mistaken for weakness. But there's a quiet kind of power, the kind that doesn't yell, doesn't flinch, and doesn't need to prove anything. That's what composure really is. It's not about pretending nothing touches you. It's about choosing how you show up when things do. When you act unbothered, people often assume you're cold or detached. But that couldn't be further from the truth. You feel everything. You see the subtle disrespect. You hear the sarcasm laced in words. You notice the energy in the room shift when you walk in. But you don't let it dictate your behavior. That's not ignorance. That's discipline. It's the conscious decision to respond with clarity instead of reacting from emotion. Because reaction is easy. It's immediate. It feels good in the moment. To snap back, to defend, to prove a point. But often that reaction costs you more than it gives. You lose control, you hand over your energy. And for what? A few seconds of release followed by hours of regret? True power isn't found in the eruption. It's found in the restraint. Composure is a kind of inner leadership. It's the quiet message you send to yourself and to others. I am in control of me. And when you carry that energy, everything changes. People don't know what gets to you because nothing breaks your rhythm. They see that they can't shake you. And in a world full of chaos, that calm becomes magnetic. That's influence without force, power without pressure. But don't confuse composure with passivity. This isn't about staying silent forever. It's about choosing your moment, responding when you're ready, not when you're triggered. It's about keeping your dignity intact, even when everything around you tries to pull you out of character. Because let's be honest, the moment you lose your cool, someone else is in charge. And why would you give that kind of power away? Being unbothered isn't about denial, it's about discernment. It's knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's understanding that your time, your attention, and your peace are sacred. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves an answer. And sometimes silence is the most powerful response you can give, because it shows you've risen above what once pulled you down. At the end of the day, composure is about alignment. It's about being so grounded in who you are that nothing external can knock you off balance. It's not that you don't feel it, it's that you don't feed it. You recognize the moment for what it is, and you decide, I'm not going to give this the power to disrupt me. And that decision, that's where real strength lives. There's a split second between something happening and your response to it. A tiny space most people rush through without even noticing, but inside that space lives your greatest power. It's called the pause. And when you learn to master it, you no longer let the world dictate your reactions. You reclaim control, not just of your words or your actions, but of your direction, your presence, your influence. Most people are taught to respond quickly. We live in a fast-moving culture that celebrates instant replies and knee-jerk reactions. But fast isn't always effective. In fact, most of the damage done in relationships, leadership, and self-worth comes from reacting too quickly and thinking too late. The pause gives you the gift of clarity. It creates room to ask the right questions. What's really happening here? Is this about me, or is this about them? Is this a moment I need to respond to, or just observe? Pausing isn't hesitation, it's precision. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. When you pause, you step out of the emotional fog and into a space where you can actually see the situation clearly. You stop being emotionally driven and start being strategically grounded. And in a world where emotions run high and patience runs low, that's a rare and powerful skill. Think about the last time someone triggered you. Maybe they insulted you, challenged you, or dismissed you. The instant urge is to defend, to strike back, to show you won't tolerate it. But what if you paused instead? What if you didn't react at all in that moment? Suddenly, you're not just another person in the noise. You become the person who knows how to hold their ground without losing their center. That kind of presence doesn't just earn respect, it commands it. And the pause isn't just for others, it's for you. It's where your best decisions are made. It's where you separate what's true from what's temporary. The anger that surges in 1 second might vanish in the next. But if you act on that first feeling without pausing, the consequences might linger far longer than the moment deserved. Mastering the pause means mastering your narrative. You stop letting other people pull the strings of your behavior. You stop being a puppet to triggers and start becoming the author of your actions. That's not just emotional maturity, that's real power. Because anyone can shout, anyone can explode, but very few can stay still, process, and respond with intention. So the next time something stirs your emotions, remember the pause, not to suppress how you feel, but to honor it enough to respond with clarity instead of chaos. That pause might only last a few seconds, but what you choose inside it can shape everything that comes next. That's where control lives, not in dominance, not in noise, but in stillness, in the deliberate decision to be bigger than the moment. Energy is one of the most valuable resources you have, more than time, more than money. Because your energy shapes how you show up, how people experience you, and how you experience life. Every thought you entertain, every argument you engage in, every situation you obsess over, it all has a cost. And most people don't even realize they're spending themselves into emotional debt by reacting to everything that comes their way. We're taught to be on all the time, to defend ourselves, to have the last word, to correct every misunderstanding and prove every point. But if you really look closely, you'll see that the people who are most grounded, the ones who carry real influence, they're not the ones making the most noise. They're the ones who have learned to conserve their energy and use it with intention. They don't react to everything not because they don't notice, but because they know what matters. The strongest person in the room is often the quietest. Not because they're afraid to speak, but because they know they don't have to. Their presence already says enough. Their restraint isn't a lack of power. It's proof that they've outgrown the need to prove anything. That's what intentional energy looks like. It's the decision to protect your peace over your pride. Imagine walking through your day with this mindset. My energy is currency. You would start asking yourself, is this conversation worth investing in? Is this drama worth draining me? Is this battle worth my attention, or is it just noise trying to distract me from my real purpose? That's the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. When you realize that not every insult deserves a clapback, not every post needs a comment, and not every challenge requires your engagement, you begin to reclaim power. You begin to own your energy instead of handing it out to anyone who pushes your buttons. This doesn't mean you become passive or detached. It means you choose where your energy goes because you understand how valuable it is. You understand that some things are beneath your attention, not because you're arrogant, but because you're aligned. You're not running on ego, you're operating from clarity. Intentional energy also looks like choosing rest over burnout, focus over distraction, peace over performance. It's knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to engage and when to walk away. Every decision either deposits into your energy or withdraws from it. The more aware you become of that, the more powerful you become. Not louder, but clearer. Not more reactive, but more rooted. So start treating your energy like a bank account. Don't spend it proving your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Don't waste it fighting battles that don't build you. Invest it in people, places, and pursuits that bring you closer to the life you actually want to live. Because the way you spend your energy isn't just about what you do. It's a reflection of what you value. There's a big difference between ignoring something and choosing to rise above it. One comes from avoidance, the other from awareness. When people see you stay calm in the middle of chaos, when you don't engage in the gossip, the insults, or the petty games, they might assume you didn't notice. But you did. You saw it clearly. You just chose not to give it the power to knock you off course. That's not weakness, that's transcendence. Transcending something means you've elevated your perspective. It means you've moved from a reactive place to a reflective one. You're no longer dancing with the noise. You're watching it from a higher floor. You understand that engaging with certain people, certain problems, or certain situations only drags you down to a level that no longer serves you. This is one of the most misunderstood strengths. People will call you fake. They'll say you're avoiding confrontation. But what they don't see is the deep internal work it takes to respond with maturity, to choose silence when it would feel better to speak, to walk away when staying would only feed the fire. That's not detachment. It's discipline. You're not pretending it didn't happen. You're not blind to the disrespect, the challenge, the tension. You're fully present. But you've made a conscious decision. This doesn't get to decide who I am today. That's what it means to stay in alignment. It means you don't let someone else's chaos become your chaos. You don't let the energy in the room become the energy within you. Transcending drama is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. It's not about superiority, it's about stability. You're not looking down on others. You're simply not letting the moment pull you down with it. You've learned that engaging in every battle isn't noble, it's draining. And in that realization, you begin to understand the value of peace over performance. It's easy to think that standing up for yourself always means speaking out, defending, proving. That sometimes the strongest statement is in your silence, in your stillness, in your refusal to be moved by things that once consumed you. Because the real flex isn't reacting, it's evolving. It's choosing peace even when your ego is begging for a war. And here's the truth. Not every battle is meant to be fought. Some are meant to be outgrown. Some are meant to show you how much you've changed. That thing that would have rattled you 6 months ago, now it just gets a smile and a shrug. That's growth. That's transcendence. So no, you're not ignoring it. You're seeing it clearly and choosing not to give it a seat at your table. You've got better things to focus on, goals to reach, values to protect, peace to maintain. Let the noise make noise. You're not above it because you think you're better. You're above it because you built something more important within. A life that no longer bends to the smallness of drama. There are moments when saying something only makes it worse. When emotions are high and tensions are thicker than words can cut through. In those moments, silence isn't avoidance. It's strategy. It's wisdom. It's a statement louder than anything you could possibly say. Because sometimes the most powerful message you can send is no message at all. Silence doesn't mean you're powerless. In fact, it often means you're the one holding the most power. You've just chosen not to spend it proving something to people who aren't ready to hear you anyway. Words can be twisted, misunderstood, taken out of context. But your calm, that speaks for itself. It says, I've got nothing to prove here. I know who I am. We're conditioned to believe that speaking up is always the right move, that silence is surrender, that if we don't clap back, we've lost. But real strength doesn't need to be loud. Real confidence doesn't need to argue. It knows when a conversation is worth having and when it's just a trap disguised as dialogue. Sometimes engaging only validates the chaos. Sometimes the best way to win is to simply not play. And silence doesn't mean you're bottling it up either. It means you found a way to process without projecting, to feel without falling apart, to observe without reacting. That's not repression, that's emotional intelligence. It takes more self-restraint to stay quiet in the face of ignorance than it does to fire back with clever words. Because silence isn't about being passive, it's about being precise. You can tell a lot about someone by how they handle silence. Some people fill it with noise, just to feel important. Others are comfortable in it because they've learned to trust themselves. They've learned that not everything needs an explanation. That clarity doesn't always come from conversation. That sometimes your calm presence in the middle of someone else's storm is enough to shift the entire atmosphere. Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Situations will spiral beyond anything you planned. And in the middle of it all, you'll face the same choice over and over again. Will you let it define you? Or will you decide how you respond? Because while you can't control the world, you can always control your reaction to it. And that's where real power begins. Most of us grow up believing that peace comes from controlling the external, fixing every problem, managing every person, trying to bend the world to our will. But the truth is, that kind of control is an illusion. Things will go wrong, people will say things that sting, plans will fall through. The real question is, who do you become in the face of it? True power isn't about life going your way. It's about being so grounded in who you are that even when life doesn't cooperate, you don't fall apart. That doesn't mean you don't feel the frustration, the sadness, the disappointment. It means you feel it and still stay centered. You experience the storm, but you don't let it rewrite your identity. Because the world is unpredictable, but your response doesn't have to be. You get to choose how you show up. You get to decide whether a hard day becomes a bad attitude, whether someone's disrespect steals your joy, whether failure becomes your identity or just another chapter in your growth. That choice, that tiny, powerful choice, is where your freedom lives. This isn't about pretending nothing affects you. It's about becoming the kind of person who decides what's worth affecting you. It's the recognition that resilience isn't built through ease, but through challenge. Every time life tries to shake you and you stay anchored, you build a deeper kind of strength, one that isn't loud or flashy, but steady and unshakable. And this strength shows up in how you lead yourself. It's in how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It's in your ability to stay aligned with your values, even when pressure is high. It's in your refusal to let circumstances make you bitter or small. When you stop trying to control everything and start mastering your own presence, that's when you become truly powerful. You stop reacting to everything, you stop giving your peace away so easily, and you start responding with intention, grace, and clarity, even when chaos surrounds you. That's not easy. It takes practice, it takes patience. But the more you do it, the more you realize that nothing outside of you has to dictate what happens within you. So let the world spin. Let the noise be loud. Let the circumstances rise and I have learned that if I want to shift anything in my world, I must first shift myself, not with effort or strain, but with the quiet power of gratitude. Gratitude is not something I give only when things go well. It is the doorway. It is the beginning. It is the secret language of creation itself. I do not wait until the thing appears to feel thankful. That would be foolish. I feel grateful now, because to feel grateful now is to know it is already done. It is already mine. The moment I can feel the emotion of thank you in my heart before the facts confirm it, I am no longer a seeker. I am a possessor. I close my eyes and imagine the end fulfilled. I hear the words I long to hear. I see the scene as it would be were it true. That I do not stop there. I whisper within, thank you. Not with force, not with repetition, but with knowing. Gratitude becomes my home, my natural response to an unseen gift that I already accept as mine. I carry it throughout the day, not to get something, but because I already have it. My gratitude is not a plea, it is a celebration, a song of certainty. When doubt comes knocking, as it sometimes will, I do not argue with it. I return to the feeling. I return to the silence. I return to gratitude, that sacred inner place where all things are already complete. And as I dwell there, the world begins to shift, not by my effort, but by law. Everything I have ever received, every breakthrough, every answered desire, has arrived through this quiet inner thank you. Because when I live in gratitude, I no longer chase, I no longer strive. I remember, I already am what I desire. I already have it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gratitude must never be reserved only for those moments when things appear to be going well. It must not be conditional, reactive, or dependent on outer evidence. True gratitude is not a fleeting emotion, but a permanent dwelling place of the soul. It is not something to be summoned when circumstances are ideal. It is the way we must learn to be, and especially when nothing yet appears to have changed. You see, most people misunderstand gratitude. They think it belongs only after the blessing, after the money arrives, after the healing is confirmed, after the person calls. But this is gratitude as the world teaches it, and that kind of gratitude holds no creative power. It is a shadow, a reflection, a reaction. But creation is not born in reaction. Creation is born in stillness, in faith, in knowing, in the invisible realm within. To dwell in gratitude is to move into the state of the wish fulfilled. It is to walk as if the very thing you desire has already made its home in your life. When I say gratitude must be a dwelling place, I mean that your inner world must become so saturated with the feeling of thank you that it becomes your atmosphere, your language, your breath. You wake in it, you walk in it, and you sleep in it. NBA specialize in gratitude. In the A, gratitude is the thing, not because you see the thing with your physical eyes, but because you have already accepted it in consciousness. This is the great key. Gratitude does not follow the manifestation. It precedes it. It is not the result of things going your way. It is the cause. Gratitude is the evidence of belief. When I feel truly grateful for something that has not yet shown up in my life, I am giving myself the clearest proof that I believe it already exists in some unseen dimension, and that I am simply aligning with it. So, and this is not blind hope, it is not pretending, it is deeper than that. It is the sacred agreement between you and the unseen that says, I trust you. I believe that what I have asked for I have already received. I may not see it yet, but I feel it. I may not touch it yet, but I know it's mine. Gratitude in this form is a declaration of possession, a silent yes to the fulfilled desire. I no longer wait for the outer world to give me a reason to feel thankful. I choose gratitude as my state of being, because I know the world is only a mirror, and a mirror reflects what is already happening within me. If I feel grateful now, the mirror will echo that feeling. the people, the events, the opportunities. They will come, not because I begged or chased, but because I align myself with the feeling of already having. This practice of inner gratitude is not always easy, especially when appearances seem to scream the opposite. But that is the test, not of the outer world, but of your inner conviction. Can you give thanks in the face of delay? Can you be grateful when it looks like nothing is moving? Because if you can, you will see the power unfold. Every time you return to the feeling of thank you, you return to power. Every time you whisper gratitude for what you cannot yet see, you are moving mountains in the unseen. You are choosing to live not by sight, but by inner knowing. You are saying, I no longer need evidence. Our gratitude, when it becomes your dwelling place, no longer asks when, it knows. It no longer wonders how, it trusts. It does not live in lack or hope or delay. It lives in the finished state. It breathes the air of completion. And from that place, everything else must rearrange to match the truth you have already accepted within. So live in gratitude, not as a response to life, but as the cause of it. And watch as the unseen becomes seen, the imagined becomes fact, and the whispered thank you becomes the thunder of manifestation. When you say thank you, you are not simply uttering words. You are declaring ownership. You are stating without hesitation that what you desire is already yours. Gratitude, when it is felt with authenticity and depth, carries with it a profound implication, that there is no gap between you and the thing desired. The world may tell you to be grateful after the thing has appeared, but true creative power lies in being grateful before it arrives, because in truth, it already has. This is not a trick of the mind. It is not a tactic to manipulate the universe. It is a shift in awareness, a knowing that what you have imagined exists now in a higher dimension of reality. And gratitude is your way of claiming it. You do not say thank you for something you do not believe you will receive. That would be hollow. That would be pretending. Oh, you say thank you because you have already received it. Because in your imagination, in your feeling, in your inner world, you already hold it in your hands. Gratitude, when rightly used, is not an emotional reaction. It is a spiritual confirmation. It is your soul saying it is done. You may not see it with your physical eyes. You may not have touched it with your hands. But in your consciousness, it is as real as the air you breathe. And because you know this, you give thanks. Not because you're begging or wishing, but because you know. To feel grateful is to speak the language of the fulfilled desire. You do not thank someone for a gift they haven't given you yet. You thank them when the gift has been placed in your hands. So why would you thank life, the divine, the unseen forces of creation for something you hope might come one day? You wouldn't unless you had already moved into possession within. Gratitude, therefore, is the signal to the world that you are no longer in the state of wanting. You have shifted into the state of having. This is the secret that transforms desire into manifestation. It is not effort, it is not action, it is not struggle. It is the quiet power of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And when you do this, when you dwell in the state of already having, gratitude flows from you naturally. It is not forced. It is not mechanical. It becomes as effortless as breathing. You are not trying to make something happen. You are simply giving thanks. This is why those who live in true gratitude walk with a quiet confidence. They do not chase. They do not plead. They do not worry. They know that what they have claimed in consciousness must appear. For the outer world is only ever reflecting the inner state, And the inner state of gratitude is one of completion, not lack. It is the state of I have, not I hope. Whenever you feel doubt, return to gratitude, not as a technique, but as a truth. Whisper thank you, not to change your situation, but because deep within, you know your situation is already changing. You know that you have entered the state where your desire is not a future event, it is a present reality in another form. And that knowing is enough to give thanks. This is the way I live now. I no longer wait for the world to give me permission to feel blessed. I no longer let appearances dictate my emotions. I wake up with gratitude not because life has handed me everything I asked for in physical form, but because I already hold it in consciousness. I walk through the day giving thanks, not for what is coming, but for what already is. Because I have discovered the truth. When I feel grateful, I am no longer seeking, I am receiving. And from that moment on, all things must come to me. Imagination alone is powerful. Gratitude alone is divine. But when the two are wedded, when imagination and gratitude are fused into one living, breathing experience, you unlock the secret to effortless manifestation. Imagination creates the scene, the image, the experience. Gratitude charges it with life, with belief, with acceptance. One constructs the vision, the other claims it is already done. Together they bring the unseen into form. Most people imagine their desires with a sense of distance. They see what they want, but only as something to be obtained someday. Their imagination becomes a dream machine, not a birthing chamber. The key difference is this. When you feel gratitude during your imaginal acts, you are no longer a seeker. You become the one who has. You shift from desire to fulfillment. The act is no longer incomplete. It is finished. To imagine without gratitude is like drawing blueprints and never building the house. The structure may be beautiful in theory, but it lacks substance. Gratitude is the builder. It is the energy that constructs your inner vision into outer form. When you give thanks within the imaginal act, you are saying, I accept this as real. I accept this as mine. I accept this now. That feeling of deep, natural gratitude is the evidence that you have moved into the state of the wish fulfilled. To continue accepting is to accept that you have moved into the state of the wish fulfilled. Imagination allows you to see beyond appearances. Gratitude makes what you see real in your emotional body. And that is where the change begins, not in the physical world, but in your feeling. The feeling is the secret key that tells the subconscious, this is not a fantasy. This is truth. And what the subconscious accepts as truth, the outer world will eventually reflect. When you sit quietly and imagine your desire fulfilled, do not simply see it, feel it. Do not be a spectator, enter the scene. See through your own eyes. Touch what you would touch. Hear the words of congratulations, the sounds of success. But above all, feel thankful. Let your heart swell with appreciation, as if the thing you once longed for has already happened, and you are now living in the result. That thanksgiving is not make-believe. It is not a game. It is the highest form of prayer. There is a sacred silence in those moments when imagination and gratitude merge. Time dissolves, doubt disappears. You are no longer trying, you are simply being, and from that being, all things arise. You no longer wonder when it will happen or how. You simply rest in the knowing that it already has. That knowing is born out of gratitude. That assurance is anchored by feeling. I no longer imagine just to entertain a better future. I imagine to enter that future now. And I take gratitude with me. I let it fill the room, the atmosphere, the breath of every imagined moment. I let it wrap itself around every scene. Because I understand now, without gratitude, imagination is a hope. But with gratitude, imagination becomes a claim, a declaration, a possession. So when you imagine tonight, when you close your eyes and see the life you desire, do not open them again until you have felt the joy, the relief, the peace, the thank you that says, this is done. Hold that feeling, let it linger, let it soak into your being until you forget it was just imagination. Because the moment you feel that it is real within, it must become real without. Imagination shows you the world as it can be. Gratitude tells you it already is. And when the two are joined, the world must obey. You do not beg for blessings. You do not chase results. You go within, you see clearly, and you give thanks. And in that quiet union of vision and gratitude, you become the master of your reality. When you begin to live in the frequency of thankfulness, something astonishing happens. You stop noticing what's missing. You stop focusing on what's wrong. Your attention is no longer rooted in lack. And that subtle but profound shift allows life to pour itself into your world. You become a magnet for the things your heart once yearned for, not because you begged, not because you tried harder, but because you finally become available to receive. Gratitude makes you receptive, not passive but open. Open to miracles, to abundance, to ease. In the absence of gratitude, we resist, we block, we tense up, thinking we must control every outcome. But when you are grateful, truly grateful, you surrender, you trust, you breathe in the present moment as enough. And in that state, all that you once chased begins to find its way to you. You no longer live in the question of how, you live in the answer of yes. And this is the secret. You are not manifesting things, you are manifesting states. The outer objects are simply reflections of the inner atmosphere. So when your inner world is flooded with gratitude, your outer world must conform. It cannot remain the same. It must reflect the peace, the fullness, the joy you are now broadcasting. Life listens to how you feel far more than what you say. And gratitude is the clearest statement of faith you can make. So let it be more than a morning ritual. Let it be more than a list you write. Let it become your state of being. Wake up grateful not for what you see, but for what you know is on the way. Go to sleep giving thanks not for the world as it appears, but for the unseen world that is already shifting in your favor. Let your thankfulness become so natural that even the air you breathe feels like a blessing. You don't need to understand the mechanics. You don't need to control the process. Just stay aligned, stay thankful, stay inwardly rich. Gratitude aligns you not only with your desires, but with your true self. The version of you who already has, already is, already knows. And when you live in that version of yourself, life has no choice but to catch up. Persistent gratitude is more than a habit. It becomes your inner language, your unspoken dialogue with the unseen realm. Every thought you think, every silent whisper that runs through your mind is part of a greater conversation. Most people allow these inner conversations to be filled with doubt, fear, and rehearsed disappointment. But when gratitude is sustained, when it becomes your constant companion, it gently begins to rewrite every word spoken within. No longer do you question, will it happen? You begin to hear the answer before the question. It is done. This is not forced optimism. It is not pretending that everything is perfect. Persistent gratitude is a shift in identity. You are no longer the one who waits, you are the one who already received. And the mind, which is always listening to itself, takes note. The internal chatter starts to align. The stories you used to tell yourself about delay, rejection, and lack lose their grip. Gratitude changes the tone, the rhythm, the energy of your self-talk. It may feel unnatural. You may still catch yourself rehearsing the old fears, the same loops of what if it never happens. But if you gently return again and again to the feeling of gratitude, not for what you see, but for what you know, you begin to change the atmosphere within. You no longer resist your desire, you no longer fight for it. You live as though the answer has already been given. Gratitude becomes your response to the unseen promise. Every time you say thank you in silence, every time you whisper, I'm so grateful, this is mine, without any outer proof, you reinforce the truth within. You confirm to your subconscious that the desire has already materialized. The subconscious does not need evidence. It responds to feeling, it responds to repetition, and persistent gratitude plants the seed of fulfillment again and again, until one day the inner becomes more real than the outer. When that day comes, the world rearranges itself to match. This is not about trying to convince yourself. It is about living in a state of such deep thankfulness that doubt no longer has a voice. You wake up thankful, not because your desire has arrived in form, but because you are already living with it in consciousness. You carry that feeling with you throughout the day. You answer fear with gratitude. You answer delay with certainty. And you answer confusion with calm thanksgiving. Your inner world becomes quiet, still, and full. It is in this quiet that creation takes place. Not in the noise, not in the mental effort, but in the silence filled with assurance. Gratitude speaks to the unseen like a lover's whisper. I know you are here. I know you are mine. Thank you. And in that sacred exchange, you become a participant in divine creation. You no longer beg, plead, or push. You receive. Even when nothing appears to be changing, even when the world seems unmoved, keep going. Keep thanking. Keep blessing. Keep holding the inner conversation that speaks as one who already has. This is the secret to enduring faith. Not effort, but surrender. Not proof, but trust. Not waiting, but receiving in consciousness. Gratitude is not merely an emotion, it is a declaration. It is the language of the fulfilled. It tells the unseen, you can rest now, I believe. It tells the subconscious, this is who I am. It tells the outer world, I am already whole. Let gratitude be the final word in your thoughts before sleep. Let it be the background music of your imagination. Let it soften your doubts and open your heart. Because when persistent gratitude becomes your inner conversation, your life begins to mirror that truth. Not someday, but now. Gratitude is not simply a nicety or a moral virtue. It is a spiritual weapon, a powerful tool that dissolves doubt the moment it is sincerely felt. You cannot be in a state of true gratitude and simultaneously be consumed by uncertainty. They do not live in the same space. Gratitude is the language of assurance, a quiet but unwavering declaration that says, I know it's already mine. It may not yet be in your hand, but it is already in your heart. And that, in the realm of creation, is enough. Doubt is the voice of separation. It is the internal echo that says, maybe not. What if it doesn't work out? Or, I'm not sure I'm worthy. But gratitude has no room for such noise. Gratitude arises from union. Union with your desire. Union with the unseen. union with the infinite source. When you are thankful, not as a reaction, but as a state of being, you silence the inner conflict. You silence the how and the when, because you already live in the yes. This is why gratitude is not merely an after effect, it is a cause. It is a spiritual position, a deliberate shift into faith. And when you enter this state, even quietly and without fanfare, you become magnetic to your own destiny. Gratitude doesn't require shouting or striving. It carries within it a confidence so deep. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is. And in this isness, this present, settled joy, everything begins to change. Most people try to kill their doubt by fighting it, by reasoning with it, by chasing more evidence. But you do not kill darkness by analyzing it. You remove it by turning on the light. Gratitude is that light. It fills the space where fear once lived. It does not argue with the doubt, it simply replaces it. Like the rising sun, it doesn't push away the night, it makes it irrelevant. When you give thanks for what you have already received in consciousness, you affirm the reality, the unseen. You become a participant in creation, not a beggar outside its gates. You stand in the feeling of fulfillment, and doubt has no choice but to fade. Why? Because the mind cannot occupy two opposing states at once. You cannot believe and disbelieve in the same breath. So the one you feed, the one you dwell in, becomes your truth, and gratitude feeds belief. Gratitude also softens the heart. It takes you out of mental effort and into emotional certainty. It invites you to rest, not because the journey is over, but because you've already arrived internally. And once you've arrived within, the outer world will follow. It always does. It must. The law is unbreakable. As within, so without. This is why you must train yourself to return to gratitude, especially when doubt begins to whisper again. You must learn to interrupt the pattern, not with resistance, but with thankfulness. Even a quiet thank you, said in the middle of fear, is enough to begin the shift. Even a soft breath of appreciation for what's to come realigns you with the truth of your being. You may not see results instantly, but you will feel the peace. And that peace is the signal, the sign that you have returned to the center of power. From that center, all things are possible. From that center, all things are already done. Gratitude is the evidence of faith. It is the proof that you believe even before you see. And this kind of belief, the one that rejoices without condition, is the belief that transforms reality. Not with force, but with ease. Not with anxiety, but with quiet joy. Gratitude is certainty wearing a smile. It doesn't need to shout. It simply says, thank you, and means it. And gratitude becomes your dwelling place, not just your reaction. Everything changes. You no longer wait for signs, you become the sign. You no longer ask if it will happen, you know it already has. Gratitude is the invisible bridge between where you are and where you desire to be. It aligns you, transforms you, and carries you into the reality you've already imagined. It is not a trick. It is truth in motion. When you feel thankful before anything shows up, you call it forth, you harmonize with it. You embody it. So live in gratitude, not as a performance, but as a posture. Let it color your thoughts, your imaginations, your conversations with yourself. Replace the waiting with receiving. Replace the doubt with silent knowing. Gratitude does not chase, it attracts. It confirms to the unseen that you are ready, and that you already are. Thank you for walking with me through this truth. Thank you for believing with me that the unseen is more real than what we see. Stay in gratitude and watch the world bow to your inner conviction. When life becomes unbearable, when the storms rage and everything outside of you seems to crumble, this is the moment many search frantically for help. They reach outward, grasping for hands, for signs, for something, anything to pull them from the chaos. But the greatest secret is this: the very thing you are searching for has never been outside of you. The presence you seek, the strength you long for, the peace you crave, it is all within. You see, there is a divine intelligence that lives in you, closer than your breath, nearer than your own hands and feet. It does not come when you cry out loud to the world. It responds when you remember who you are. In the silence of your soul, in the stillness where no one else can enter, you meet the true source of power. Not a distant deity, not a far-off force, but the infinite and creative power of your own inner being. In hard times, the temptation is always to run, to distract yourself, to numb yourself, to beg others to fix what you feel is broken. But every time you look outward for salvation, you deny your own divinity. You silence the quiet voice that already knows the way. And yet it waits. It waits for you to turn inward and see. This is not about belief in some abstract concept. It is not about religion or ritual. It is about direct experience. There is a still small voice inside of you, a presence that has never abandoned you, even when the world did. It is not loud, because it does not need to shout. It whispers, because it knows that truth does not need to be proven. It simply is. When everything falls apart, your mind may race, your emotions may scream, but beneath it all there is a calm observer, unchanging, unmoved, eternal. That is the divine within you. And when you recognize it, something shifts. The chaos doesn't vanish, but you stop being ruled by it. You become the eye of the storm. You find a strength that doesn't rely on external conditions. Imagination is the doorway to this power. You are not merely a body reacting to the world. You are consciousness itself, and you have the ability to create. The moment you close your eyes and feel what you wish to feel, you are stepping into communion with the divine. In your darkest hour, imagine yourself safe, whole, healed. Not as a fantasy, but as a reality already present in a higher dimension of yourself. When you persist in that feeling, the outer world will have no choice but to mirror it. It is easy to say I have faith when life is easy, but real knowing, the kind that moves mountains, is born in adversity. In hard times, you are not being punished. You are being called inward. You are being invited to remember your source. You are not being broken. You are being redirected to your true power. And that power does not live in the opinions of others, in your bank account, or in your circumstances. It lives in the seat of your awareness. To seek God in hard times is to stop looking out the window and start looking in the mirror. Not at your face, but at the soul behind your eyes. When you do, you realize that you are not alone, and you never were. You are one with the divine life that creates worlds. And from that place, all things are possible. So don't run, be still, turn inward, and remember who you are. That's where the healing begins. There is a vast difference between asking and assuming. One pleads from a place of lack, the other declares from a place of knowing. In difficult times, many fall to their knees, not in reverence, but in desperation, begging, hoping, fearing. They whisper prayers that come from doubt, not belief. But the truth is, the divine does not respond to panic. It responds to presence. You must not beg as if God is far away. You must assume the feeling that God is already here. Because God is already here, there is no separation. The very breath moving through you, the stillness beneath your thoughts, the awareness watching your fears, that is the presence of the divine. You do not need to earn it, chase it, or convince it to stay. You only need to feel it as if it were undeniable. This is the secret. This is the way. Assumption is not pretending. It is not about tricking yourself or faking belief. It is about stepping into a new reality internally, even before you see the evidence externally. It is about choosing to dwell in the awareness of God's presence, regardless of how loud the storm may seem around you. In your imagination, you must learn to feel the nearness of that presence, like a warm light, like a comforting embrace, like the steady ground beneath your feet. This feeling, this assumption, is more powerful than any spoken word. Words spoken without feeling are empty, but a quiet assumption made with conviction moves the unseen forces of life. When you assume that the divine is already with you, guiding you, loving you, and upholding you, something deep within begins to shift. Your mind may not understand it at first. Your senses may still scream of problems and pain, but your inner world begins to align with a higher truth, that you are never alone, and that what you seek is already within you. This is not wishful thinking. This is spiritual law. The outer world is only a reflection of the inner state. If you continue to beg, you reinforce the belief that God is absent. But when you assume the presence, you begin to create the conditions for miracles. Your thoughts change, your energy changes, you become receptive, calm and open. You begin to walk through life not as a victim of fate, but as a companion of the infinite. Feel it now. Feel as though you are already held in divine arms. Speak not as one asking for rescue, but as one who knows the rescue has already come. How would you speak if you knew you were loved beyond comprehension? How would you walk if you knew that every step was guided, every breath was sacred? That is how you must live. Not later, not when things improve, but now. Every time doubt arises, return to the feeling. Every time fear whispers lies, return to the feeling. Make it your dwelling place, make it your home. Not just in moments of meditation, but in the ordinary moments. While you wash dishes, while you walk, while you sit in silence. Assume it then. Assume it always. This is how you train your mind to see what is real and release what is false. God is not a force that comes and goes. God is the very fabric of your being. And when you assume that truth, when you feel it in your heart and carry it in your soul, you will find that everything you need begins to unfold. Not because you begged for it, but because you knew it was already yours. So stop waiting, stop pleading, begin to assume, begin to feel, begin to know. The presence is not coming, it is already here. All you must do is remember. There is an invisible law that governs your relationship with the divine. A law that does not respond to chaos, panic, or fear, but to the quiet stability of your inner state. Many cry out in pain, asking why their prayers go unanswered, why heaven seems silent. But they do not realize that it is not enough to ask for guidance. You must align with it, and that happens through your state of being. Your state is not what you say, or even what you think in fleeting moments. Your state is the deep emotional atmosphere you carry. your inner posture toward life. If you are constantly filled with worry, doubt, and turmoil, you are tuned to a frequency that cannot pick up the wisdom already surrounding you. That when you choose to rest in peace, even when the world gives you every reason to fall apart, that is when the voice of God becomes clear. This is not about pretending that pain doesn't exist. It's about refusing to be ruled by it. Even in sorrow, you can align with faith. Even in grief, you can choose trust. These are not passive states. They are powerful, deliberate acts of surrender. And when you hold them, something sacred begins to move through you. The answers you seek are not somewhere far away. They are already here, encoded in the silence, hidden in the now. But you must be still enough to hear them. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a thunderstorm. That's what it's like when your soul is noisy with fear. The whisper is still there. It hasn't stopped. It's just drowned out by the noise of your own resistance. But when you quiet that storm, through breath, through stillness, through letting go of the need to control, you become receptive. You become soft enough to be led. You become a magnet for divine guidance. This is why people who have walked through suffering with grace often seem wiser, more radiant, more in tune. They did not avoid pain. They learned how to meet it without collapsing into it. They found peace not in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of surrender. And from that place clarity came. The path revealed itself, the right words, the right people, the right doors. They all appeared, not through striving, but through stillness. You must become the answer before the answer arrives. You must feel calm before the way becomes clear. You must embody faith before you see the outcome. This is the mystery, the paradox, the divine irony. The more you chase the solution from a state of fear, the further it seems. But the moment you rest in trust, the solution rises to meet you. You are always in communion with the divine, whether you recognize it or not. But it is only when you consciously choose to dwell in love, in faith, in peace, that this communion becomes powerful. You don't have to know how it will all work out. You only have to hold the vibration of trust long enough for life to match it. So when you are lost, do not panic. Go within. Breathe. Return to the stillness. Say silently to yourself, I am safe. I am guided. I am held. And feel it not as wishful thinking, but as truth. Do this not once, but repeatedly, until it becomes your foundation. Guidance does not shout, it whispers. It comes in dreams, in sudden knowing, in gentle nudges. And the more peaceful you are, the more clearly you will hear. Your state of being is your signal to the universe. Send out faith. Send out peace. And watch what returns. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of resistance. In this sacred stillness, when the mind is no longer at war with the present moment, the truth that was always waiting begins to rise. In times of hardship, when the walls seem to close in and the future feels uncertain, the impulse is to do more, think more, struggle more, but that very impulse is what clouds the revelation. You do not find answers in the noise. You find them in the stillness behind the noise. You must learn to value silence, not as an escape from your problems, but as a return to the presence, where problems lose their power. This silence is not found in the world, but within you. It is a state of awareness where the ego has no voice and fear has no hold. When you withdraw from the frantic urge to fix, to panic, to beg for immediate resolution, you create space for clarity. That space is the doorway to revelation. Many search for signs, for voices, for something external to show them what to do next. But the answers do not come from out there. The answers are always whispered from within. And it is only when you are quiet enough to listen that they become audible. The truth never shouts. It waits for you to lower your defenses, soften your heart, and open yourself like a child, receptive, humble, ready. Stillness is the holy ground where God speaks, not in thunder, not in fire, but in a gentle knowing that comes without effort. In silence, the false self falls away. The identity built on fear, on control, on survival begins to dissolve. What remains is the real you, the one who has always been connected to the divine. And from that awareness, guidance flows naturally, not as a booming voice from the sky, but as an inner yes, an unshakable peace, a sudden realization that feels both surprising and familiar. To cultivate silence is to create a sanctuary in your being, a place untouched by the chaos of the world. And the more time you spend there, the more attuned you become to that subtle language of the spirit. You begin to notice patterns, feel inspired nudges, perceive synchronicities. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable, not because the world changed, but because your awareness did. There is nothing passive about silence. It is one of the most powerful states you can enter. It requires faith to be still when everything in you wants to act. It requires trust to wait when your mind demands urgency. But in this waiting, in this stillness, something eternal begins to move. You are not lost. You are not without help. You are simply distracted by the volume of your fear. Lower it. Let the thoughts pass like clouds. Let the emotions rise and fall like waves. And beneath all of it, you will discover the ground of being, the quiet, unshakable presence that is always guiding you, always holding you, always knowing the way forward. If you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Sit in the silence. Breathe. Trust that what you need will rise in its own perfect time. The urge to force an answer is the very thing that delays it. Let go. Fall into the stillness. Listen not with your ears, but with your spirit. And you will know. Silence is not empty. It is full of revelation. It is the sacred space where divine wisdom is remembered, not learned. Go there often, especially when life feels too loud, for in the quiet you will remember what you forgot, that you are never alone, never without guidance, and always one breath away from clarity. Imagination is not a childish game or idle daydream. It is the sacred language of the divine. Through it, you speak to the unseen, you commune with the infinite, and you shape the unseen substance of life into visible form. In times of despair or uncertainty, most people speak their fears, affirm their worries, and visualize their failures. They do this without realizing that the very act of imagining is a spiritual conversation, a declaration of faith in what is to come. And so, what they dread appears, not because they are being punished, but because they have unknowingly used the most powerful gift within them in the wrong direction. To seek God in hard times is not to cry out in helplessness, but to close your eyes and see yourself already delivered, already free, already whole. It is to lift your consciousness above the facts of the moment and dwell in the realm of divine possibility. Imagination is not pretending. It is selecting a higher truth and giving it life through feeling. You are not faking it. You are faithfully aligning with the reality that is more true than what your senses show. What you see in your mind's eye with conviction, you shall one day see with your natural eye. This is the mystery of all transformation. You do not wait for things to change to feel safe. You feel safe and things begin to change. You do not wait for the miracle to arrive. You embody it internally, and it begins to shape the external world around you. Can you sit still? Let it become still. Many pray that few imagine. And without imagination, prayer becomes empty words. You may ask God to make a way, but if you continue to picture yourself trapped, anxious, or lacking, you are working against the very thing you desire. Imagination must match intention. You must see it before you can receive it. When you visualize yourself safe, strong, uplifted, you are not lying to yourself. You are remembering who you truly are. You are reuniting with the divine blueprint that already exists in a higher realm. Your imagination is the bridge between this world and that one. And when you cross it not once but repeatedly, faithfully, emotionally, you bring that higher truth into form. Imagination must be accompanied by feeling. It is not enough to see the picture, you must feel the reality of it. Feel the warmth of safety, the lightness of peace, the confidence of being divinely supported. Let it flood your body. Change your breath. Alter your posture. In doing so, you instruct your subconscious mind, and the subconscious always obeys the feeling it is given. In hard times, this becomes your lifeline. When everything around you says it's over, when circumstances try to convince you that you are forgotten, this is when you close your eyes and go within. See yourself rising. See yourself smiling again. See the doors opening, the burden lifting, the light returning. And hold that vision with tenderness and certainty. Not just once, but over and over, until it feels more real than what you see around you. This is not delusion. This is divine communication. The divine does not speak through fear. It does not speak through despair. It speaks through inner vision, through the language of possibility, through the images you dare to hold in faith. If you wish to commune with God, learn to use this gift. Cultivate it, nourish it, honor it. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are a creator, an imaginer, a vessel through which heaven touches earth. When you know this, you no longer ask, will I be okay? You begin to declare, I already am. And that declaration, when felt deeply, becomes your reality. Let your imagination be holy. Let it be bold. Let it be drenched in love, in hope, in certainty. For what you imagine, in alignment with truth, the divine fulfills without fail. Faith is not the quiet hope that things might someday improve. It is not the passive waiting for signs, nor the timid whisper of maybe in the face of the impossible. True faith is a bold, fearless assumption. It is the unwavering decision to embody a reality not yet seen, and to walk in the conviction that what you have imagined is already yours. Those people misunderstand faith as something fragile, as if it were a delicate flower easily crushed by the weight of the world. But real faith is power, it is substance, It is the unseen cause behind all visible effect. You do not possess faith simply because you believe in the existence of God. You possess faith when you dare to act from the place of what you have seen within, before any sign has appeared to confirm it. The world will tell you to be realistic, to wait and see, to trust only what can be proven. But faith asks something different of you. Faith requires that you become the evidence of what you cannot yet touch. You do not wait for healing, you walk as though healed. You do not wait for peace, you carry the stillness within your chest. You do not wait for abundance, you live with the heart of someone already full. This is not denial, this is alignment with a deeper truth, a higher law. To seek God in hard times is to shift your identity, not just your desires. It is to say, I am no longer the one pleading for rescue. I am the one who has already been delivered. You may not see it with your physical eyes yet, but that means nothing. What is real begins in the unseen, and faith is how you bring it forth. This bold assumption is not arrogance, it is spiritual obedience. For the divine has already answered. The supply, the healing, the peace, all of it exists now. It is your task not to wait for it to appear, but to live from the end, to inhabit the outcome as if it were already so. That is what causes the invisible to take form. There is no power in repeating affirmations if they are not felt. There is no power in prayer if it is laced with doubt. But when you assume the state of being that matches your desire, when you embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, then all things must rearrange to reflect that state. The world cannot help but mirror your inner world. That is the law. You must understand that faith is not hoping that God will come through. Faith is knowing that God already has. It is the inner declaration, it is done. You do not need to beg, to chase, or to explain. You simply need to persist in the assumption of your chosen reality until the world conforms, and it will. It always does. When fear comes knocking, and it will, you do not fight it. You return to your assumption. You quiet the noise by stepping back into the feeling of fulfillment. You say within yourself, I remember who I am. I remember what is true. And you go on living from the reality that no one else can yet see, but that you know as certain as breath. This is not about pretending. It is not about ignoring facts. It is about understanding that facts change, circumstances bend. The outer world is clay in the hands of inner conviction. You are not a victim of life. You are the author, and faith is the pen. So live boldly, assume boldly. Let your imagination paint the scene and let your heart dwell in it. Let your actions, your thoughts, your words all flow from that assumption. For that is how faith moves mountains. Not by waiting, not by hoping, but by becoming. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are the miracle, made visible by the boldness of your assumption. When the world shakes beneath your feet and the answers seem far away, you must not forget where the true power lies. It is not outside of you. It is not in the opinions of others or in the unfolding of events. It is within. The divine is not distant. It is present in your awareness, your imagination, and the stillness of your own heart. You do not find God by chasing signs. You discover God by assuming the nearness, by walking as one who is already held, already guided, already whole. This journey is not about begging for help. It is about remembering who you are. It is about aligning with the quiet knowing that you are never alone, never abandoned. Faith is not waiting, it is becoming. And as you imagine rightly, as you hold fast to peace and rise above fear, the unseen begins to take form. And what was once only a vision becomes your lived reality. So in your darkest moments, do not seek the light, be the light. Assume the feeling of the answered prayer. Rest in silence. Use your divine imagination. And remember, what you believe within, you shall see without. Thank you for listening. Stay faithful, stay grounded, and above all, trust the power that lives within you.